date is November 21st, 1919. I stand before the court today to accuse this woman, Laura Elizabeth Wentz, of illegal activities involving the suffrage of this nation.
Miss Wentz, how do you plead?
I have committed no crime.
Then do you plead not guilty of these charges?
I have done nothing to harm society, but I do admit to have tried to vote.
Order in the court! I see what you're saying, Miss Wentz, but I must ask now that the prosecutor would have the floor. Prosecutor, explain what happened.
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, it all started when...
I'm to take a stand. I need a voting ballot, please.
Yes, ma'am. Is this for your husband?
Not this time.
You don't look old enough to have a son that's legal at voting age.
No, sir. This ballot is for me and me only.
Excuse me?
As a citizen of the United States, I declare the right to vote for our country's leaders.
But you're a woman.
Our country would not be the great nation it is without us.
But you're not even a black man. You're a woman.
A well-learned citizen who deserves as many rights as men.
I agree.
Black suffrage was a step in the right direction, but it is clear that there's more work that needs to be done to the Constitution.
That is why I have every intention on casting my vote for this year's elections in favor of Warren G. Harding as the next president.
May I have security?
And that's how it happened, Judge.
Miss Wentz, what have you to say for yourself? I would like to appoint my sister, Mrs. Graney, to speak on this matter. Very well, Mrs. Graney. You may proceed.
Thank you, Judge Julio. I'd first like to say that Miss Wentz is indeed a very intelligent woman and a true United States citizen. She meant no harm trying to vote, and she did bring up so many valid points.
Do you know of her intentions, then?
Perhaps I should answer that question, Judge Julio. You see, our country has come a long way since our Constitution was first written, but it still has a long way to go. Our current system is firmly established with the passing of the 15th Amendment in 1870. African American men were given the right to vote.
That is all very well, Miss Wentz, but if you're quick enough to break a law concerning suffrage, how are we to know that you are familiar with the amendments?
Perhaps I can help with that.
Very well, Mr. Attorney, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge Julio. When I first met Laura, after she was arrested and I was assigned to her court case, I knew exactly what she was doing. She knew by the 6th Amendment she had the right to a fair trial in my service as a lawyer, and with the 7th Amendment she had the right to a listening jury.
And I was less worried when I knew that due to the protection the 8th Amendment offered, she would not be in danger of cruel and unusual punishment while in prison.
She also pleaded the 5th Amendment when I arrested her and questioned her intentions to the trial.
So it is clear that she understands the Constitution fairly well, but that doesn't change the fact that she broke the law. What was the purpose of being arrested? Simply to vote.
Judge Julio, as I've said before, I merely consider myself a small part of a bigger movement that is bound to sweep the country. My personal trial, not being one in my favor by this jury, have heard my story and may be thinking of how women should have the equality of the men in this land of the free.
You bring up a valid point, Miss Wentz, but how does the jury feel in regards to your actions?
Actually, Your Honor, I have been to trials concerning the matter of women's suffrage, and the more I hear about it, the more sense it makes.
I know for a fact that my wife is very knowledgeable in our country's government, history, and legal system. And she would truly know what she was doing if she was given the opportunity to vote.
After all, Jeanette Ratkin of Montana was recently voted as the first female representative of a state in the U.S. House of Representatives. The role of women in society is beginning to leave the kitchen and has begun to enter the realm of leadership.
And with the Great World War going overseas, women are needed yet ever more in our society.
I guess they do bring up valid arguments, so I guess the big question is, should this country consider the ratification of another, the 19th and all, amendment in this upcoming year?
That is for the jury to decide. Jury, are you ready to vote on this matter?
I do believe so, Your Honor. So it was that the local jury voted in favor of Miss Wentz.
However, due to the delays in women's suffrage movements because of the war, Miss Wentz's case did not make it to the Supreme Court level until after the creation of the 19th Amendment, in which case she was dropped of all charges and finally allowed to cast her vote. But voting rights did not just stop there. Over 4 decades later, poll taxes, which had limited the participation of the lower class, were lifted, and in 1964, the 24th Amendment was ratified. And years later, much to the younger generation's delight, the voting age was lowered to include those who were 18 years or older. And so the 26th Amendment was passed in 1971. Since then, there have been no other constitutional changes or additions made concerning voting rights. But who knows what could happen in the future.
Action.
Very well, Mrs. Gurney, you may proceed.
Thank you, Judge Julio. I'd first like to say that Miss Wentz is indeed a very intelligent woman and a true United States citizen. She meant no harm in trying to vote. I can't talk about it.
Action.
Well, we need to show the jury.
No. Alright.
Action.
Order! Order in the court! Prosecutor, please proceed.
The date is November.
Action. Action.
Order! Order in the court! Prosecutor, please proceed.
The date is November 19th.